this in this section we are going to know about the Python programming on Raspberry Pi. Here Python is a powerful programming language, and then Python is a general purpose high level programming language suitable for providing a foundation to readers, and that means you have some characteristics are there for the Python. It supports a more than one programming paradigm, and then interpreted language. The Python is a interpreted language, and then Python is a interpreted language and does not require explicit something. And then interactive language, this one here. What are the benefits of the Python here? What are the some of the benefits regarding the Python here? Here is a easy to learn. You can learn easily. That means, by using C programming, not having any complication. It's having the only easy to learn and read and maintain. And then object procedure language, this one. And then extensible and scalable and portable programming language. And then it's having the broad library support is there. That's why this programming language is very simple and easy understandable programming language, not like a C programming language. Here you have a setup for the Python. How can you execute the setup information in a Python programming? Here the setup for the new Raspberry Pi. Take the setup for the new Raspberry Pi. Already previously I explained about the installation process for the Raspberry Pi. Here you have to do as usual, and then after that you have a some editor is there. Open the Python editor. In this case you have a Python editor. If you see here, here you have a Python editor is there. Open this Python editor. From the Python editor, if you open this Python editor, the editor appears like this. Here from the editor, here you will execute your you will execute your Python programming. That is a Python programming. I think you have some idea about the commands. Okay. And then this is a setup here. Run Python and Raspberry Pi using mu editor or over the SSH. Read input from the physical sensor connected to the Raspberry Pi. Here send output to the external component using Python. This is some information regarding the Python script. Here in this case, create a unique project with Python and Raspberry Pi. Here, if you want to execute this information, you require the knowledge of the data types. Here, these are all data type. What is exactly data type here? The data type in this case, it is a container. For example, the container, the variable is the data types and variables. Here, variable is a container for storing the values. Here, unlike other programming languages, Python has no command for declaring the variable. That means you can easily declare the Python variables. Here, for example, how can you declare the Python variables? Here, see here. Open the Python editor. I'm going to open the Python editor. Here, this is a Python editor. The Python editor appears like this. For example, A equal to, for example, I have some salary is there. In the salary, I want to store some for expenditure. Different purposes I am storing. Let us assume A is a container. A stores 10. I want to print this one. Print A. Here it stores a value. And then, for example, B is a string data type. How can you represent the string data type here? The string is represented as a, for example, Rama. Rama is a string. Here, the stores the B having a Rama value, which stores the Rama information. That is a B value. For example, I want to print this information. Print B. If you print this one, you will execute the Rama. And then not only that information here you will having the Python programming, you have a different information names. That means you will declare the variables. For example, if you have the true information, for example, true equal to some 10. It's not a, for example, print true. Let us assume print to true, that indicates the value true. Here whatever may be the information, that is a variable. And then coming to the next important one, here is a Python numbers. Here in the Python programming, you will execute the different numbers. Here for example, 4 into 5, it's a one type of number, its value gives a, and then 4 plus 5, that's an value 9. And then that means in the Python programming, you will write a your own numbers as usual. And then coming to the 6 minus 2, it gives a value, here is a 2. That is a some information about the Python setup. And then Python number. Here the Python number indicates the numbers are integer, float pointing numbers, complex numbers. Some of the under information we will follow the some numbers here. Here for example, the Python will take the complex numbers also. For example, you are representing the complex number 1 plus ij. Here for example, a equal to 1 plus 2j. How can you represent that value? Here for example, I want to print that value. Print a, print a indicates that 1 plus 3j. That means in Python programming, you are having the complex numbers, all different categories of number. Coming to the next important thing in this case, here is a list. Here what is the list? Here how can you represent the list value? For example, variable store, what is the difference here? Variable and list. Variable stores the a simple. For example, if you go to the supermarket, in the supermarket you will have the different items. For example, you purchase the item 1. Item 1 equal to onion. Onion. For example, item 2 equal to bread. For example, item 3 equal to potato. Item 2 equal to, let us assume, some any information. For example, item 2, what is item 2? That means if you want to write this information, you require more number of variables. Here, that means you require this more number of variables. Instead of avoiding that one, you have a list concept existed in a Python programming. Here, what is the list concept here? List is a order sequence of items. It is a one of the most used data type in a Python. And that means this list is a order data type. That means you will store the information in a particular order. List consists of order sequence. That means all the items in a list do not need to be of the same type. That means declaring a list pretty is straightforward here. For example, A equal to 1, 2, 3. B equal to 3, 4, 5. For example, I'm going to writing the list like this. How can you write the list like that? Instead of writing this information, instead of writing all this information, for example, U is a one type of. Instead of writing this all information, you will having the list. For example, all information simply represented as a list. There is a bracket, square bracket. In the square bracket, you will having the onion, comma, bread, bread, comma. For example, another important one, you, and then this is a list information. If you print this one item, if you print the information here is a item, that means it displays the that item instead of avoiding the n number of variable, instead of avoiding n number of variable in a simple representation, I am using only one list representation. In the list representation I can store all these values. That is a list. I think everyone know about this one list. Here for example you are writing the list in a string type of list also. Here for example I'm going to write in the list like this. For example, list to let us assume here the for example 10 comma 20 comma 30 comma 40 comma 50 and so on. This is a simple list representation. In particular list here, how can you store this values list? Print of list of 2, list of 2. Here it will print the numerical value. Here in the similar way, that means I want to point in the first list. For example, list 2. That means I want to represent in the square bracket 0. Square bracket 0 indicates that the first element in the list, and then square bracket list square bracket 1 indicates that second element in the list. You are not a 1, list 2. List 2 of square bracket 2 indicates that the third element in a particular list. Here in this way, you will find in the list. For example, I want to point in the last element in a list. How can you point the last element in a list? -1. The -1 indicates that the particular last element. I don't know about the length of the string. I don't know about the length of the string. For this purpose, I'm going to point in the a particular element in a particular list. For this purpose, I'm using a list concept. That is a some information regarding the list. You have a some differences are there. String as well as the list. That means string as well as the list. And then another important one here is a tuple. Here what is a tuple here? The tuple is a python. The tuple is a an ordered sequence of item, same as the list. But what is the difference between the tuple and um, this one? Tuple is immutable. That means tuple consists of different elements. The tuple you cannot, when you are creating the tuple, you cannot modify the tuple. The tuples are used to write a product data and are usually faster than the list, and then it defined within a parenthesis. Here always tuple defined within a particular parenthesis, um, brackets. The parenthesis you are using for the defining the tuple. Here I'm going to define the tuple like this. For example, t1 is a tuple. T1 equal to within a parenthesis. For example, 10 comma 20 comma 30 comma 40. 40. That means print to T1, print to T1, then it will print the tuple value. What is the main difference here? You can modify the list. For example, already I wrote the list here. You can modify the list, but here tuple cannot modify the values in a tuple. That is a simple information. Here the more information about the tuple is there. Go to internet and then verify the tuple related information. And then Next important concept here is a string. Here, what is a string here? String is a sequence of Unicode characters. You can use single quotation or double quotation to represent a string. Yeah, you may use the single quotation. You may use the double quotation. For representing the string, you will use this type of quotation. For example, I'm going to take a simple string like this. Here, what is a simple string? For example, I'm representing a simple string. For example, print s. The print s indicates the string value. This is a one of the data structure here. Here, if we write like this, multi-line. If you want to write a multi-line string, you will use a this type of structure. This is a the structure. For example, if you want to multi-line string, this type of structure used for the declaring the multi-line string and then close brackets and here. This is a simple information regarding the string structure. మా some non okay నా కొద్ది నాయిస్ ఉన్నది నేను సపరేట్ గా మీకు క్రియేట్ చేసి ఇస్తాను కంట్రోల్ స్ట్రక్చర్స్ వీడియోస్ ఇస్తాను ఒకసారి వెరిఫై చేసుకోండి if you need I can place different videos that means within a one class explaining the all things very difficult task that's why I can take the separate one here the next important thing here is a control structures. Here, what are the different control structures are there in a Python? If else structure, here, if you want to write this control structure, you require 1 minute. Yeah. If you go to the Python programming, you will have the different information, if else statement information. Yes. How can you execute this if else statement information? If you want to execute this if else statement information, you require some file. From the file, you will save the file and then execute that one. Here, go to new file. I'm going to execute an if else statement in the sense. These are all called as a control structures. For example, this is a particular program A equal to 32, B equal to 1. If A is greater than B, then print the value. Save it. Okay, save it. If you want to execute these files, you require a new file. From here, new file, you save this file. Here, save this file anyway. Okay, I'm going to saving this file in a my desktop, and then after that, the save file. For example, u1 is a file name that say indicates the Python files. Here, when you are running this program, that means it is a inline editor, a single line. That means a equal to 20. If you want to write a more than one line of code, then you will having the a separate file that is called here. That means in this way you will execute the then statement if a equal to 33, b equal to sun, b is greater than 3. That is a one type of file representation. For example, other one here is a else if. In the Python programming, you have a else if statement is there. Here, for example, I'm going to write a simple program. Here, for example, write this simple program. Write a simple program, and then if you run this program, save this program, and then there is a output like this. A is a, that means what is this program here? That means A equal to 33, B equal to 33. If A is greater than A, B is greater than A, then print is a greater than value. Else if A equal to A and B are the equal. Here in this case, you will get the output. A and B are the equal values. Here, that is a simple representation for the if else statement. And then some of cases, you may write the loop statements also in Python. How can you write the loop statements? For executing this program, you will have the loop statement. For example, I equal to 1, well, I is greater less than 6, and then print I. That means I'm going to increment in the I value. Here, how can you represent that value here? Here, go to editor. I want to executing this one. For example, loop is a one of the control structure. I equal to 1. While I is less than 6, then you will write a value and then say print I value. Up to how many numbers it will print? It will print the up to less than 6 numbers. Save it and then run it. Run this one. If you run this value here, it will print the values up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the execution for the while statement. Sometimes you may use the break statement. Some other cases you will use a continuous statement. You will use a else statement in a while loop also. Here coming to the first statement. How can you execute the for loop here? Here a for loop is used to iterating over the sequence. Here that is either a list or tuple or directory and then set or string. Here it's going to iterating the this value. For example, I'm going to take the a particular string as a, yeah, I'm taking the particular string here. Here I'm taking the file. In that file, for example, I'm taking the fruits value. For example, f equal to fruits, and then in this case, how can you represent the f value here? F equal to apple, banana, cherry. For cherry is there. I want to print all these values. Here, for printing all these values, you will use a for loop. For x in f colon, print x. X in f colon, print x. That is indicates that looping in a looping structures in a for loop. If you execute this one, first you have to save this one. After that, run this program. Here it will print the all information regarding the apple, banana, cherry. This is a way you are representing the all types of loop condition. Here you may use the for loop for the different purposes here. Looping by using string also. And then in a particular for loop, you will use a break statement. In particular, that is a simple representation for the for loop. You are coming to the very important task in this case. Okay, very important one. Now, like that, that means control structures over. Before the control structure, you are having the functions. Before module, you are having the functions. Here, how can you represent a function value? What are the way for representing these functions? Here, we are coming to the function is a block of statement. Here, the function is a block of statement which only runs when it is called. You can pass the data. For example, you will write your own functions. Python function is defined using def keyword. Here, you will use a def keyword for defining the Python programming. Here, for example, I'm going to defining own function like this. For example, a simple Python program. I'm going to write in the simple Python program. Here, how can you represent that value? Open that one. Here, a simple Python program. For example, defining the my function. Otherwise, you may take the name control. You may take the value in different way. For example, not a my Python. For example, I'm changing the name. For example, any name you may consider. Rama is a one name. Save this one. Save this one. And then run this one. Not showing anything. Here, it's not showing anything, even though you will call the Python. First, you have to create the Python. After that, you will call the particular Python. How can you call the Python value here? With the name, you will call the Python. Here, go to Python editor. Here, how can I call the Python here? For example, by using Rama bracket and with semicolon. That means hello from the function. Here, if you see here, if you see here, def is a keyboard. Def Rama print hello from the function. Hello from a function. Here you will have the Python information. You will that means there is a two possibilities for the Python here. One is a defining the Python function and then calling the Python function. Here you have arguments are there. What is an argument here? How can you pass the argument? For example, if you have the washing machine, in the washing machine, what is the function of washing machine? Cleaning the clothes. That is a function of washing machine. That means you are defining the function like a cleaning. Let us assume. Here, what are the parameter? The parameter in the sense input values. The input values here cloth. That means parameter you are passing as a cloth for the washing machine, and then it produces a result as a cleaned cloth. Is it clear or not? That is a functions. That means, for example, I'm going to passing the function like this. In a Rama, I'm going to passing the value. For example, take this one. Yeah. For example, I'm going to passing the in Rama. I'm going to passing a value, some X, Y, Z, or something else. F. For example, I'm passing the value as an F. I'm going to printing that value here plus F. Here, when I'm going to calling this value, Rama, for example, I'm calling this value like this. First execute this one. First execute this one. Yeah, save and execute. After that, I'm going to calling the Rama. For example, Rama is a function name. Rama of you may write a, for example, email. You may write the email here. Rama is that is the function, the whatever may the information here. For example, if you require break, the hello from a function email. That means you are adding the value here. Will you identify the difference here? The calling the function ordinary function value. In this way, you will pass the n number of parameter. Not only one parameters here, you may pass the two parameters, three parameters also. Here, I'm going to taking the two parameters here. For example, f is one parameter. Another parameter here is a f. G is another parameter. And then I'm going to printing these two values here. How can I print these two values here? One is a f. let us assume one is a f value. I'm printing the f value. After that, plus there is a space. After that, plus g value. And then if you execute this one, print f and g. Here I'm calling the f and g value. For example, I'm calling the f and Rama space. For example, f value Uma, and then comma g value Krishna. Rama and Krishna. If you execute this one, it's having some error. We are not having, okay, braces. I need to give some braces for this one. Okay. What is the wrong this one? Okay. When it comes to the program, F comma G, and then here I need to give a space. F comma G, F comma G value plus. Okay, better to take a single line. Okay, no problem. Okay, in this way, you will execute the all different function. Coming to the next important one, here in this case, modules. Okay, I can complete here. Tomorrow I can explain about the module as well as the packages. Okay, thank you. Anyone respond, please?